Gustavo, I'm excited to be here with you here today. And before we jump into some of the business questions, I got to ask you right off the bat. I don't know if you have a jersey under that jacket of yours, but World Cup coming up next year. Who are you rooting for? Who's your team?
Yeah, so I grew up in São Paulo, Brazil. So I'm a passionate Brazilian fan. So I'm definitely going to be supporting and suffering with Brazil. In Brazil, we have one thing that we have hopes for every World Cup. We are the national team that won the most World Cups ever. So we won 5 times.
Wow.
So we have this hope that every World Cup is going to be ours. Our last World Cup is more than 15, 20 years ago. So I feel like our chance is very small, but as every Brazilian, we have hope. So I'm going to be cheering for Brazil for sure.
At least you have hope. That's more than I could say for the U.S. team here. You know, just making it is half the battle for us. But so hold on to that hope and be happy that you have it. I got one more question for you before we sort of dive in. Right, we're going to have the World Cup and matches being held all across the country in the U.S. As well as Mexico and Canada. Where are you going to be sort of during the World Cup next year?
Yeah, I believe I'm going to be all over like the whole cities in the United States because we have several initiatives that they are going to create experience for consumers in those games. So we have Lay's Fan of the Match, Quaker Kids Player Escorts. So those would require us to be on those games a lot. So I can imagine being in several games across the country, and I'm gonna definitely enjoy doing that.
That's going to be great. All right, so let's jump in. You know, I have to say you have what I would say is a pretty awesome title, right? Head of Marketing, FIFA World Cup for PepsiCo Foods. Can you unpack that a little bit? I mean, that sounds like a massive role and responsibility that you've been given. But help me understand a little bit more about what you've been tasked with doing as we head into the World Cup
Yeah.
next year.
So for us, the FIFA World Cup 2026 is the biggest sponsorship we have ever had in the United States. And when we started this journey, we look at how many different initiatives they were under this. And think about you had communication initiatives from brands like Lay's and Quaker. You have several retail engagement programs with some of our salty and foods portfolio. You would have all this idea of creating experiences in the stadium, outside of the stadium. So the work by itself is a work of more than 30 people. Mm-hmm. We needed a team that would put everything together. That would be the bridge between all of this work. So in the beginning of this year, we created what we call the FIFA coordination team. And I have the pleasure to lead this team where we host all of those initiatives under one umbrella in a way that we can guarantee that the execution is going to work flawless for us.
Got it. Okay. So more or less, really the connective tissue, that center of excellence for everything that pertains to World Cup sort of falls under your purview.
Yeah.
It's a lot of responsibility.
No pressure.
Yeah, I was going to say no pressure. And on the note of planning, like how far in advance, when did planning start? How long have you guys been at it? And how much more planning is there, or are your plans pretty much locked and ready to go for next year?
Yeah. The first thing we did when we think about the planning of the FIFA World Cup 2026 was to understand the consumer. In PepsiCo, we're always about, it's consumer centric, it's consumer first. So in the end of 2024, we started this journey on understanding the consumer, the soccer fan. And then from that, we created strategies. Then we created platforms. And I can say we are almost, from the time we started to the World Cup, there will be more than almost 19 months in.
Wow. Okay. And I mean, this World Cup feels pretty big. It's the first time that the World Cup's been here in the U.S. since '94. Soccer as a sport here in the U.S. year over year continues to bring in new fans and to grow. You know, we had heard someone earlier today sort of equate the World Cup to the size of 14 Super Bowls. Help us understand, how big is this going to be for Pepsi Food?
Yeah, it's going to be massive. If you look at the comparison with Super Bowl, you said it's more than 15 times the attendance of a Super Bowl. It's more than 5 times the economic impact of a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it's going to be so big is you have games in 11 host cities in the country. So imagine from 6 to 9 games in 11 cities. All of those games for us, we see as an incremental occasion for our portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
So you have people watching games, and those families and friends watching games, they're going to be consuming our products. So for us, the idea of growth of the category is very important for us. And we want to be remembered as one of the biggest sponsor brand and win market share. So for us, it is the growth of the category, is a market share gain, and the idea of being remembered as this best-in-class sponsor of FIFA World Cup.
Got it. So on that note, I know you probably can't share a lot of details yet, but I'd love to understand. Can you share any early plans or types of activations that you're going to be doing next year?
Yeah. The way we are approaching this is we think about what's going to be the consumer journey during the World Cup. And imagine that someone travel here, they get to the airport, we're going to be there. We're going to have activation, we're going to have media in the airport. Then they go to public transportation, or they go through the streets to get to a hotel. We're going to be present in media. Then they get to their hotel, our products, they're going to be there. We're going to show up in the breakfast, and we're going to be showing up in the rooms. And then they're going to go to the game. We are going to have brand experiences in the game. Then they are watching the replays of the game. They're going to see our ads. Then they are watching a goal. They will see the LED panels with our brands. And in the stadiums, they're going to be eating our brands. Mm-hmm. So it is a full engagement during the consumer journey on the World Cup. That's kind of what the objective is.
When we think about like your channel mix and how you're going to be promoting Pepsi's involvement, obviously we've talked a little bit about activations, but when we think about social channels, out of home, what does that channel mix look like? Or are there specific mediums or channels that you're really leaning into this year?
It will be a combination.
Yep.
For us, there is a big effort which is out of home, right? So think about hotels, parks, bars, all of those different restaurants. So we want to be present, as I said, in the consumer journey. So there is a massive effort there. Of course, retail is a big deal because all of those American families, they are going to have watching parties, and they're going to be consuming products for those watch parties. So retail is a big element as well. The stadium is another. So every concession in stadiums, they will be selling our products as well. So all of those, the visitors going to stadiums, going to be consuming. And during the journey on airports, on train stations, all of that, we'll see our products and our marketing efforts going as well.
So you're going to be everywhere. And,
everywhere.
And a year from now, I'd love to sort of understand really how you're going to be measuring that and sort of what some of those results are going to be. I'm sure you guys are going to have some pretty lofty goals, and I have no doubt you'll be able to hit them with your team. So you've been at Pepsi for 15 years, right? So I think you've had the benefit of witnessing and being involved in a lot of sort of big events. What lessons have you learned, whether you've been directly or indirectly involved them, from previous global events, and how have you maybe applied those to, or are applying those to the World Cup?
Yeah, I would say there are several if I think about a global perspective. But when I think about the FIFA World Cup, when we were a regional sponsor in 2022. And I think we learned a lot with that experience. A couple examples is that when you are, first of all, be obsessed with project management, right? Mm-hmm. Again, the event is not going to change. We are very experienced with seasonal events, but this one is big. So we are very obsessed with project management. The other thing is when we are doing those activations, we need to be consumer-centric first and understand the consumer of soccer in the United States, how different they are from the European or Latin American soccer consumer, and respecting the consumer and respecting the customer calendar as well. So think about this. last World Cup, the World Cup happened simultaneously with holidays. So we need.
It was later.
It was because it was in Qatar.
Yeah.
So respecting, I think we could have done better if we were able to integrate more with holidays. Now this World Cup is happening in the summer, and it's happening at the same time as 250 years of America.
Mm-hmm.
So we are a lot smarter this year trying to integrate those seasonalities in the way the consumer are going to think about the World Cup across these other events than we did in the past.
Got it. Okay. I'm excited to see how that comes to life. And then if I believe the World Cup ends the end of July, right around that. But if we're sitting back here at the end of July, right, what does success look for you? What is your sort of North Star? When you're kind of sitting down and you're looking back at all the great work that you've done, help me understand that.
Yeah, we are very ambitious about the World Cup. We're putting a lot of resources and we're putting a lot of effort. And for us, the big thing is to be remembered as that best-in-class brand, that preferred brand among any other partner. And if you look at the global partners, it's not an easy task. They're like big companies, very successful companies. The other thing for us that is very important is how the World Cup event helps us to grow those categories that we're in. So the categories of salty snacks, the category of cookies and crackers, the category of breakfast. We want those occasions surrounding the World Cup to help not only us winning market share, but that those categories to grow. And I think the last thing is we have several efforts that can differentiate ourselves from other brands. And because of that, we have targets of winning market share. So those three things: be remembered as that best-in-class brand partner. Second, growing the category. Third, win market share.
Got it. I have no doubt you'll do that. Whether we're sitting back here at the end of July or not, I'm excited to see it all come to life. And I have no doubt you'll be able to deliver on that. Couple just final questions for you. I mentioned you've been at Pepsi for 15 years, incredible sort of tenure there, right? And after all these years, when you wake up every morning, right, what gets you out of bed, energized and excited for the next day?
Yeah, I think for me, PepsiCo is this organization that provides so much opportunities. So think about my story. I started in PepsiCo in Brazil, São Paulo, Brazil. Then I joined a global team 4.5 years later here in New York. And then now I'm in Dallas with the PepsiCo Foods North America. So PepsiCo is this type of company that promotes this experiences to people. And every different experience, you're learning as you're in a different company. So you're never inside the same company. You have that longevity of learning that gets me very excited every day. Every day that I'm in a different assignment, I feel that I'm learning. I feel that I have the challenges, and I feel that the company is supporting my growth.
Got it. And then how has that experience really prepared you for this new role that you're in as head of marketing for FIFA World Cup?
In several ways. I would say one way is I have the consumer empathy. So I think because of my experience, I understand the hardcore soccer fan. But now I'm getting to understand a little bit more we're calling the big eventer, like the one that they just want to jump in this bandwagon of FIFA.
Be a part of the experience.
Right? So I can see the differences, right? The other thing for me is I worked in multiple markets in multiple business. So because the FIFA World Cup is containing the entire foods portfolio, I am not very specialized in one category. So I can understand the differences between the categories, the difference between the consumer dynamics of those. And I think the last thing that is not less important is I have the passion for this. I love this work because I love the World Cup. I'm going to be, as a fan, be watching every game. So I think I bring all of this passion, and I believe on this. And because I believe, it makes the work a lot easier.
Yeah, just hearing you talk now and then earlier on stage, I can see that sort of passion come through. So that's really exciting. That's awesome. Gustavo, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Looking forward to seeing how everything comes together next year.
I appreciate it. Me too. Thank you.